consultant David Wickert. As always, if you have a question, you can call us at 414-799-1620 or throughout the Midwest on the Accunet Mortgage toll-free talk line. That number is 1-800-877-1620. Happy New Year, Brian.
Hey, Happy New Year to you, Steve. We're just delighted to have a show today. You know, originally we weren't slated to have one because the Packers were going to play at the dreaded noon spot.
Yeah.
But now I'm just going to be stressed all day waiting for the 7 o'clock game.
Yeah. Have you had time, David, to go get your temporary New York Giants fan jersey?
My anti-Redskins jersey.
Okay, anyway. Yeah, great to be with you. Great to have the new year upon us. 2016 was awesome for the mortgage industry in general and Accunet Mortgage in particular. And so a thank you to all of our customers and all of the Accunet Mortgage team who worked really, really hard to make that possible. They worked so hard, Steve, that we're actually going to observe the official legal holiday tomorrow on Sunday. We're going to be closed, but back at it on January 3rd. Hey, so we got a lot to talk about on today's show. We've got the 2016 J.D. Power Primary Mortgage Customer Satisfaction Study and the results of those that came out here recently. Good news to report, the fever's broken on mortgage rates. It's stopped going up and have come back down a little bit, so we'll do a little rate roundup, plus a little review on how to decide, you know, do you take the lower rate with the higher costs or the opposite? And then we've got a nice announcement to share later on after the news. So are we ready for the satisfaction story? Cue the music, Vince. All right, I think we're going to take a little break here and reestablish our connection, and then we'll get back with the satisfaction survey of J.D. Powers.
I think
home buying advice from the guys who know it best. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
All right, let's see if we can jump in on this satisfaction survey and see where things shake out.
Well, J.D. Power does the satisfaction survey every year. It's called the 2016 U.S. Primary Mortgage Origination Satisfaction Study. Came out in November. The Wall Street Journal article wrote in December after our last show, so that's how we were kind of tickled to realize it happened. The study measures customer satisfaction with the mortgage origination experience in 6 factors, which include the application approval process, loan offerings, interaction, loan closing, problem resolution, and onboarding. Onboarding means going from the closing table to the servicing platform to make your monthly payments. The study did survey 5,182 customers across the nation. Accunet Mortgage is not eligible to participate in the J.D. Power survey, unfortunately, although we are sure we would crush it if we did. The satisfaction is calculated on a 1,000-point scale. So, Steve, you are representing our audience today. The first question for you representing the audience is, do you think the highest scoring lender in the survey had a score above 925, between 875 and 925, or under 875? Your answer, please.
I'll go to the 925 number.
Thank you for playing. Quicken Loans was ranked the highest primary mortgage origination lender, and they scored, are you ready, 869.
So this is really not satisfaction as much as who hates you the least?
Well, I did Google. I said, hey, if that's an 86.9%,
okay,
grade, I looked up on the College Board, that would give you a B+.
Okay.
Okay. So on the ABC scale, they're a B+.
That's fine.
They're not an A+.
That's fine.
They're not an A-. They're not an A. They're a B+. Citibank was in second place, so they did a lot better, but their score, what was it, David? 859, I think.
Okay.
And then Ditech was at 849. So even the best isn't that great. Now, by the way, I did check our costs today against the one with the leading costs.
Yes.
I mean, the leading ranking.
Satisfaction.
Quicken Loans at 869. For 1.25% rate today, they have an APR of 4.38 because they're charging 2 points. This is on a $200,000 loan in southeastern Wisconsin, 25% equity and all the other right stuff.
Yeah.
I got this posted on our website, by the way. Their total closing costs were $5,300
That sounds expensive.
$5,322. Accunet's closing costs for the same 4.125 rate with an APR of 4.128, $855. Our closing costs are $4,500 less.
That's real money when you're buying a house, by the way.
I was thinking about that. I thought, we could probably send a stretch limousine to the person's house, drive them over to Accunet, send them on a vacation for 3 days, and then
close their
loan all for that same. Or we'll just save you that money and you can use it for something else fun. All right. Now, interestingly, the other thing about the satisfaction is this, Steve. Here's your second chance to come back. What percentage of home buyers were remorseful about their mortgage lender selection? And now we're going to focus in on first-time home buyers in particular. Do you think it was 1 out of 10, 10%, 1 out of 6, about 16%, or 1 out of 4, around 25%?
1 out of 6.
Yeah, I love it. I'm tricking you. I want you to know that I'm intentionally trying to manipulate your answers, and you're playing right along. 27%. 1 out of 4.
Wow.
1 out of 4. Slightly more than 1 out of 4.
Yeah.
First-time homebuyers was dissatisfied with their lender's selection. If you just put everybody together, all home buyers, and this includes refinancers and home purchasers, it's still 1 out of 5. 21% of people are dissatisfied with their selection. Now,
did they articulate what was the source of their dissatisfaction?
David,
throwing softballs here.
Oh, you're just calling you Ed McMahon. It had to do with, guess what, communication.
Okay.
And not living up to promises. And so, what do we find in our own practice of, doing mortgages every day? People, especially first-time homebuyers, are anxious, about where am I in the process? Is everything going okay? And that's understandable. So what do we do at Accunet Mortgage to try to overcome that is we try to make sure we communicate with them every step of the way, meaning anytime something important happens, like, hey, we sent your loan in for underwriting now, we think it's going to be 5 days. So it's always saying what's happening and what's next. And then another thing that we do on purchase transactions in particular is the loan consultant, like David, calls the borrower every week, typically on Friday, with what we call the weekend update. And then we also call the real estate agents. Everybody loves to be talked to so that they know what's going on. Interestingly, and how much time before our next break, Steve? Are we getting close?
About a minute or so.
Another minute or two? Okay. The number one thing that was a correlation in terms of dissatisfaction versus satisfaction was if people didn't contact or do anything about getting a mortgage until they had an accepted offer, their satisfaction was way lower. That makes sense, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you get a rock-solid pre-approval with Accunet, is your satisfaction likely to be higher?
Well, your stress is also going to be less, too, and that directly correlates to your satisfaction.
That was so nice to see that in this big national survey. Is what we little guys have known all along, is that if we do a good job up front, before you actually have that accepted offer, we've ironed out all the details. And remember, folks, we not only check your credit, which is what 9/10 or even higher of mortgage lenders are doing. It's just checking your credit and then sending you out there to buy a house. No. Not good enough in 2017. We also document your income, get all the questions asked and answered there, and also the source of funds for your down payment and closing costs. Get that all ironed out so you can kind of relax as we actually go through then the official approval process, because all that's left to do is the appraisal. All right. When we come back, let's talk about where rates are right now, because they are a little bit better than last time we did our show. When we come back.
You're listening to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ. If you have a question for Brian or David, you can reach us at 414-799-1620 or throughout the Midwest on the Accunet Mortgage toll-free talk line. That number is 1-800-877-1620.
Helping you with your dream home for your dream budget on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
Brian Wickert is with us. David Wickert is with us. And if you have a question, you can reach us at 414-799-1620 or throughout the Midwest on the Accunet Mortgage toll-free talk line. That number's 1-800-877-1620. We're now up to where mortgage rates are today.
Excellent. I appreciate the comeback music. New year, new music, little Dave Matthews, Gray Street. Can't go wrong. Thanks, Vince. All right, so rates came back a little bit. As you said, the fever broke. And so with 25% equity and all the other right stuff, including a credit score of 740, escrowing for taxes, all that good jazz, at the end of business on Friday, Accunet could offer the trophy rate of 3.99% on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. APR is 4.05. It would cost you 0.6 of a point to get there for the trophy rate, so closing costs of around $2,300. If you preferred to not have to pay any points, Accunet could offer 4.125% with just $700 in closing costs. And there's only 4 things that Accunet's got to cover for anyone's purchase or refinance. You got to cover the appraisal, title insurance, credit report, and the closing agent. Don't have to pay for the Super Bowl ad or anything like that. Although you've been advertising the 20-year fixed-rate mortgage, which you're calling the equity builder.
Yes.
So at the end of business on Friday, Accunet could offer 3.875% on the 20-year fixed. APR is 3.89, and that's with regular closing costs of $1,100. It is $230 more per month, but it is, like any mortgage, a forced savings plan.
Yeah.
And so if you're not going to
all that money is going to principal.
Correct. So if you're not going to miss if you're going to spend it on New Year's Eve on a memory you're not going to remember, maybe you want to take the 20-year fixed. And then for folks who are looking to shorten up their mortgage, Accunet could offer on a 15-year fixed 3.375%. APR is 3.4, and that's with regular closing costs of $1,100.
Did you say our regular closing cost, Dave, were just $1,100?
$1,100 American dollars.
Goodness, that's a bargain compared to those big guys out there.
Yeah.
Hey, I was talking to, I have an actual purchase closing on Tuesday, just by the way, speaking of the equity builder, where they started out with a 30-year fixed rate with 20% down.
Yeah.
Okay. Then some inspection items came up on the house related to the roof. All right. Wisely, the real estate agent and the home buyer consulted with me ahead of time. And what they did was a simple price reduction. I think it was like $10,000. And because now they were going to know that they had to replace the roof fairly soon, I offered them the equity builder, the 20-year fixed rate for their particular circumstances. And given when we locked in the rate, we were able to do 3.875 on the 20-year fixed with just 10% down.
Oh.
And I think they must have locked in before the election because that has no PMI.
Oh, no monthly PMI.
Yeah, no monthly PMI, wow. 3.875. And so, I mean, we're talking about a $370,000 purchase price. So reducing their down payment from 20% down to 10%, now they've got another $37,000 in their pocket. And so I think that's something I want our loan consultants to at least be showing customers as an alternative.
What I enjoy doing is in conversation with folks, there is no wrong answer.
That's true.
But it's just figuring out what is more important to you. Is it 20% down because otherwise I can't sleep at night? Mm-hmm. Or is it make a 10% down payment because I want to have cash left over for a roof or a couch or drapes or whatever?
These particular people were very, very well qualified, both professionals, totally buying below their means.
Oh.
And they had a ton of money saved up. And so, you know, they could definitely afford the higher payment that comes along with the 20-year. And they wanted to do, in addition to the roof that they're going to have to do, they want to do other improvements to the house. So this was just a perfect, I was hoping they'd select it. I kind of put it out there as an option. First they kind of resisted it, but then
you were doing some mortgage art and you were glad that they appreciated your mortgage art.
Right. It worked out well. All right. I have another story that I want to, when we come back from this next break, I want to come back and talk about another couple who I'm helping to try to decide which combination of interest rate and closing costs they want. They're millennials, and so they are displaying what I want to call is a classic millennial behavior. We'll cover that when we come back.
You're listening to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ.
getting you into the home of your dreams. Here's more of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
Brian Wickert is with us. David Wickert is with us. You're listening to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ. Gentlemen.
All right, so you're going to talk about some millennials. Just be nice.
All right.
We're good people.
I was going to say, you know what? Wednesday's the perfect day to go shopping for a house. 14 degrees.
Sign me up.
Think of how few other people there will be out there shopping. All right, so I have got this millennial couple, and they are building a home not in Wisconsin, and so it goes a little differently in this other state that we're going to talk about because they put down a big down payment. They put down 10% of the purchase price, which is like $49,000.
Okay.
And this is how it goes in most of the rest of the country. I want everybody to know that building a home in Wisconsin is the exception, and it's weird. It's
really
not the way it's done. Yeah, because in Wisconsin, the homeowner goes out and gets a construction loan.
Yeah.
And finances the construction, one draw at a time.
Right.
Here's 50 grand, here's 100 grand, blah, 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 blah. And they're paying the interest during the construction period. In most of the other parts of the country, the builder carries the financing, and you don't buy the home and the lot until the end.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what's going on here. Well, unfortunately, they started in the fall, like October, and I was quoting them because it's a fairly big loan, right? $388,000. I was quoting them 3.25 at the time.
Wow.
3.375.
Not available anymore.
But we knew they weren't going to close until February. So unfortunately, now, and I put this up on my screen so you guys can look at it with me. The options that I went over with them on Friday were door number 1, a 3.99. 30-year fixed rate, okay, with an APR of 4.003. And because this state that we're talking about has significantly higher closing costs than we have in Milwaukee, their closing costs are $2,100 for that.
Regular.
That's even after we're paying $2,800. Wow. And they're still paying $2,100. Okay. Door number 2 is 3.875. That has an APR of 3.96. Closing costs there, are you ready? $5,500. Kind of sounded like Quicken Loans here, but no.
Well, okay.
Believe me, Quicken would be any higher. And then door number 3 is 4.125, and that would have closing costs of 0. All right, so, Steve, just off the top of your head, which one do you think this millennial couple is most interested in? Any guess? What do you think?
I'm going to go with proposal number 3.
3?
I bet it was they wanted the lowest rate.
Correct. David's a millennial, so he would know, right? He's our millennial loan consultant. And on top of that, they're saying okay, so 2 weeks ago I gave him a rate update, and the costs for the 3.99 rate weren't $2,000; they were another $2,500 higher. Okay. So rates have improved for them by 20. Closing costs have gone down $2,500 for them in 2 weeks on that 3.99 deal. So I'm like, you don't have to, and this is true of everybody. We're not cutting these people any special favor. You can lock in all 3, right? I mean, rates have gotten significantly better since the last time we talked. So, we can lock these all in, and you can talk about it next week and decide. We really want to talk to some friends of ours and our parents and our financial advisor. And okay. Really? And then on top of that, here's the math. You can see this on my screen.
They're afraid to make a mistake, or
I guess.
Okay.
But this is kind of this group decision making. Like I envision them going out on Facebook or something and asking, which one do you think we should do? And because I'm like, in reality,
I'm glad I don't have friends like that. But okay.
Okay, but I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen to the stock market or interest rates on Tuesday.
Correct.
It's a complete guess.
Okay.
And so I jokingly, in the nicest way possible, said, oh, you're going to talk to some friends? I hope some of them are bond traders.
Yes. Or work for the Federal Reserve.
Right, because they're not going to know. All right, now here's the irony. Even at this fairly high loan amount of $388, the difference in monthly payment between $399 and $3.875, David?
Well, I was just going to say, I call this the taste test. It's to say, okay, if you covered the rate with your hand and just compared the difference in the payment and the closing costs, 10 out of 10 people are going to pick the no closing cost option because it's only $30 more in payment.
That's right.
But people get hung up on the anyway.
So let's just drive that point home. The difference between 399, which has that very beautiful leading digit of the number 3, and the 4.125 is $30 a month.
Yeah,
$30.31. And yet the difference in closing costs, it's actually more than what I'm showing here because we're picking up an actual. It's actually a difference of $2,900 in closing costs.
Wow.
For $30.
For $30.
People spent that on beer last night that they didn't need.
Well, you can put it in an emergency fund.
Right.
Exactly. It will take them 8 years to make back that additional $2,900 that they're about to spend. Let's call it $3,000. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to point that out to them as gently as I can. And I said, here's one of my awesome clarifying questions that all of our loan consultants use. How long do you think you're going to stay in your house? Do you think you're going to be there 8 years from now? Probably not. And yet they're still considering slapping down the $3,000 extra, even though they might not be there to just get to that point where they're starting to win 8 years in the future. Okay, so that's my.
Let me just say, I have that same conversation with Gen X and baby boomers as well. So it's not just us 20-somethings.
So I wish we could throw a hood or a black, bar over the interest rate and the APR. Because see, the APR, by the way, spreads out those costs over the whole 30 years of the loan, which is why it's not really the best comparison tool, because it assumes you're going to keep this loan
for
this house
3 decades.
For 3 decades.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely for these upwardly mobile dinks. Dual
income, no kids.
Right, okay. All right, so that's my story with those folks. When we come back from this next break in the show, we're going to talk about our cool announcement related to Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity. We'll cover that when we come back.
Right here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ.
Don't break the bank to get into a house. Back to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
And David Wickert, as we focus in on Accunet and Milwaukee's Habitat for Humanity efforts.
Yeah, Accunet has supported Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity for a number of years. I should really know the number. I'm going to say 10. And typically we sponsor their gala that they're fundraising. Everybody does fundraising gala. And so been the name sponsor for that and, make a nice donation and get our name up in front of everybody. Well, this year has been such an extraordinarily good year for Accunet Mortgage, with interest rates being between 3.25% and 3.5% for a lot of the year. We have decided, and we just made this decision last week as we realized, wow, what a great year this is. We're going to take some of our profits and we are going to fund the building of an entire home for a deserving Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity homeowner. So we're going to do our first ever full sponsorship.
Cool.
Yeah. And now, so since we just told them this week that we're going to do that and gave them the money to fund that, the next steps are they got to identify a homeowner, because they didn't, I think they were going to do 7 houses in 2017, so now they get to do 8.
Cool.
So they got to find a homeowner, identify them. Right now they are, one of the really cool things about Habitat for Humanity in Milwaukee, Brian Sonderman is the executive director. He's a really smart guy, and they have a great staff. They have focused for the last 4 years, this will be their 5th year, on the Washington Park neighborhood on the north side of Milwaukee. And so they're focusing on doing many homes per block and several blocks within that community to really uplift that entire neighborhood. So that's where our home will be. We just don't know where yet because they're still waiting on the building permits that they have to get from the city. And so we should find that out about April or May. So we're going to track this throughout the year. Our staff then gets to participate in 10, count them 10 build days. We're not all going to go at once.
You're going to be swinging a hammer? Okay.
I'm going to be swinging a hammer.
Putting up drywall, really?
Last time we did this like 10 years ago, I helped with a house. We didn't sponsor a full house, but we participated. They had to redo the wall that I helped hammer together, but they seemed happy about it. And then we get to meet the homeowner. By the way, Habitat for Humanity is not a giveaway, and we'll have Brian come on the show and explain a little more detail. The homeowners have to go through counseling, make sure that they can qualify to pay back the mortgage because they get a mortgage.
I hear they can offer a better rate than we can,
Well,
too.
as a matter of fact, David, their APR is zero. Zero. So the borrowers get a mortgage at 0%.
They're like the Swiss.
All right, come on. But they got to pay it back over 20 years. And then guess what? That money that they're paying back goes back into the Habitat Fund, so it's self-circulating. Isn't that cool? They also have to contribute 400 hours of sweat equity. That's 10 weeks of sweat equity, either on their home or typically they'll do it on another homeowner's home so that they're not, delayed too much in getting qualified for the program. So stay tuned for that, Steve. We'll keep everybody posted on that as the year progresses. Okay, so next up, I wanted to look at...
Can you talk about why January here is the best time to list your home? We were just at a closing this past week, quizzing agents like, what's inventory like out there?
That's exactly. Thank you, David, for that.
Slim pickings.
Yeah, we were talking to an agent, one of our favorite agents, about, sitting there at the closing table and like, okay, Paula, so what's inventory like right now? Horrible.
There's nothing out there.
There's nothing out there.
Well, there is. It's just been picked over and left.
It's the overpriced or not in great condition stuff. So the reason why right now in January would be a great time to list your home for sale is Accunet's got a lot of buyers we've pre-approved.
Yes. Right?
And we're continuing to pre-approve, a bunch every week.
Right.
They would like to buy your house. All you have to do is list it for sale, and if it's in good condition and you don't price it crazily, although I think you could kind of go towards the upper end of whatever the reasonable price range is, it's the lack of inventory. And when we say that, it's especially between $150,000 and $500,000 in the Milwaukee metro area is where inventory is light.
Well, and nobody can tell me that they don't want to move in winter, because if you're willing to go sit at Lambeau Field for a couple hours and freeze, why not move your couch into your new house?
And the other thing that's true, I think, about winter is the buyers are more serious, right? If you're out there looking in winter to buy a home, these are the serious people. You also get some relos at this time of year.
Oh, I didn't
who need properties that are for sale.
Plus, if you're right now in the first week of January, maybe you're closing the first week of March and it's 45 degrees when you're moving in.
There you go. I like the way you're thinking there. And then the other thing for the sellers is just think you don't have to keep up your lawn. Right. There's another reason to list.
You got a shovel.
Well, you got a shovel, but you don't have to mow the lawn.
That's fine.
How's that for polishing that problem?
List now.
Called snow. All right, so now we think now is a great time to list. All right, when we come back, I have the latest home price appreciation numbers from our friends at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. We have some more markets in Wisconsin that have popped back to their peak values. We'll tell you what those are when we come back.
Here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ.
Important home buying questions and answers you can count on. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
It's 10:51 as we welcome back Brian Wickert and David Wickert, focusing in now on where home price appreciation rates are relative to 2007.
Yes, exactly. Good. 2007, 2008, depending on which metropolitan area we're talking about, were the peak values. And so we now have 5 metropolitan statistical areas in Wisconsin that are above their peak values. And those are in order. La Crosse in the number one spot. Values now, this is according to the Federal Housing Finance Authority, FHFA, the regulator for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And this is based on data that they've collected throughout the years on home mortgages that they've either purchased or guaranteed. So on a refinance, it's based on the appraised value. On a purchase, it's based on the purchase price. So home prices in La Crosse are now 12% higher than they were back in 2000.
And it's the same house.
Same house, yeah.
Okay.
Same house selling twice. That's why this is so much better.
Just a blanket
than the realtor's, median sales price.
Okay.
Because it takes into account, the features of the home.
Okay.
It's 3-bedroom, 2-bath versus the median sales price of the realtors is just a jumbled mess of who knows.
La Crosse is leading the way.
Then Eau Claire, 6.8% higher, followed by Madison at 5.3, greater than the peak. Appleton, now 1.9, and Duluth Superior at 1.7% higher. Markets that we might care about even more, Milwaukee still 4.5% below peak values. So that means your home, if it was worth $200,000 back in 2007, the first quarter of 2007, it's now back to 191, having reached a low point of 170. Okay. Other quick reads, Chicago still 16% below the high. Kenosha, which is part of the Chicago metropolitan area, still 16% below. Racine, 16% below. People often this time of year ask about Naples. Naples, Florida, still 23% below peak values. So that's what you got there. David, you had a great idea. You wanted to talk a little bit about our new product that you invented.
Well, come on. You wrote the ad, so. But to your point on appreciation, I think one of the things that has held a lot of people back from wanting to refinance has been uncertainty or unease about what their home might appraise for. And I think with a couple years of strong sales, and even this summer with strong sales, man, now is the time to take advantage that your neighbor sold his house for X and use that as an appraised value for your home for refinancing. So we're calling this the no-risk refi. And the appraisal cost can sometimes be the impediment for people wanting to refinance because it's $450, and it's kind of a shot in the dark.
And maybe they got burned, 2 years ago when it came in low.
Correct. So one of the cool things that Accunet can offer is an initial appraisal. It's not something that we can use officially, but we can ask an appraiser to sit down at his desk, look at comparable sales to your house, and say, here's what I think your home might appraise for. I did not walk through your house. I've just got the info about it. Maybe you forwarded.
You fill out a form.
Correct.
You, the loan consultant, fill out a form and get up-to-date information. Oh, yeah, you know what? We did put on a new roof. We remodeled the basement, whatever.
Exactly. And so the cool thing is, although an appraiser would never say, it's just, okay, hey, look, it came in at a value where it makes sense to refinance. Yeah. We can then ask that appraiser, please go walk through the house.
The same guy?
The same guy.
Aha, that's the key.
And though they'll never say, literally unless the inside is just like ripped to shreds, they're going to be using the same comparables. Right. So it's probably going to come in pretty close to what they got sitting at their desk.
Right.
So we're calling that the no-risk refi.
The no-risk refi.
Because Accunet, we're willing to do the initial unofficial appraisal, if only to reduce the unknown, the anxiety on possibly paying less to live in your same house by refinance.
That's what you call refinance, paying less to live in your same house or paying it off faster.
True.
And then, by the way, if the desk valuation comes in at a value that still supports the transaction, we still send the appraiser out at no charge, or no risk, let's call it.
Right.
You still might end up paying for the appraisal at closing.
Right, but then we're refinancing. Then we're
saving you money. You'll be happy to pay it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's David's excellent idea.
The no-risk refi.
The no-risk refi.
We're off to a hot start then.
We are, absolutely. By the way, the home prices are up in Milwaukee 4% from a year ago. Janesville Beloit up 6% from a year ago. So there's another reason to do two things. List your home for sale if you don't want to refinance it and save money.
Right.
Because home prices are 4% higher, or, somewhere between 4 and 8% higher than they were a year ago. Get it out there on the market now in January and make somebody happy. Make your real estate agent happy. By the way, I should mention, if you do need help finding a real estate agent, I do that kind of matchmaking at Accunet Realty Advisors. You can find that phone number at AccunetRealty.com. We are going to have a show next week, we think, because we don't think there are any playoff games that start at noon. So we're going to plan to have a show next week.
And we can talk about the jobs report then.
That's right. Well. This coming Friday is the first jobs report of the year. My advice is always, hey, take advantage of this recent dip in rates that we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. Another good reason to take advantage of the no-risk refi, because we just never know. If that jobs report came in really hot, that could put some pressure back up on interest rates. So we'll meet you back here, Steve. Same bat time, same bat channel next Sunday.
Excellent. And how do folks track you down online again?
That's Accunet.com, www.accunet.com.
Very good. You've been listening to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert and David Wickert here on 620 WTMJ. We'll check in with ABC News coming up here at the top of the hour. And at noon today on WTMJ, it's Wisconsin Sports Weekend with Matt Pauley as we take a look at the Packers and Detroit, which that pregame coverage gets underway tonight starting at 5 o'clock here on WTMJ. Our WTMJ 5-day forecast looking like this. We're looking at sunshine, and that becomes partly cloudy and mild throughout the afternoon as we'll climb to a high today somewhere around 36 with winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly cloudy. Overnight lows will drop down to around 30. And then for Monday, tomorrow, cloudy with showers developing by the afternoon. Monday's high should be somewhere around 40. Looking ahead to Tuesday, mostly cloudy, windy, and a high of 42. But once we reach that high of 42, then things start to pull back and drop off in the temperature department till Wednesday, when the high on Wednesday, you ready for this, will be 14 above. Thursday, sunshine, but very cold on Thursday, a high only of 12 above. Right now in Green Bay, it is 28 degrees.
The preceding was a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show are solely that of the hosts or guests of Accunet Mortgage and Accunet Realty Advisors and not WTMJ Radio or Scripps Media Incorporated.